we acknowledge what difficulties and struggles there's been for the last couple of years. But I think it's also really important that at times like these, we focus on rewards as well. And for those of us who've been involved in putting together the festival program over the last 8 months, it's been a remarkably rewarding experience. I think Kyle mentioned, I know that Kyle mentioned, the 135 feature films, the 102 short films that'll play at the festival this year. But perhaps important to tell you as well that there was over 4,000 films that our programming team watched and considered for the lineup this year. And each one of those films, plays a part in informing us as to what the cinematic landscape looks like in a given year. It informs the decisions that we ultimately make. It leaves us more educated, more illuminated about the world that we live in and the way that storytellers are sharing that world with us. So we're grateful for every one of those filmmakers who made it work this year and allowed us to consider it for inclusion in this year's festival. It's also important to say, I think, as well, that almost half the feature films in this year's program are first feature films. And when you think about that, and you think about how people probably envision making their first feature film, it's likely not during the midst of a pandemic, and having to consider things like safety protocols, getting your shooting days in, or in 16 days, 20 days, whatever you might have. And each one of these filmmakers who have a film in the festival this year, be it their first film, be it their 20th film, had to overcome significant odds to get that film to the screen, to share it with audiences that we'll have at the festival this year. I think it's really important to consider that when watching these films. Odds are always stacked against filmmakers. There's such a remarkable assemblage of factors that need to align to make these things actually work and make some of them magical. And the fact that some of those were achieved this year, given everything that was stacked against them, is truly, truly remarkable. And because of that, I think that it's important that everyone who approaches work this year do so in a spirit of appreciation and gratitude as well. These films kind of exist in defiance of nature, in defiance of the odds that were stacked against them, and they're absolutely remarkable in the fact that they come to the screen uncompromised, and each of them represents the vision of a filmmaker, how they experience the world, how they process their own experiences in the world. And we're so grateful to be able to share all those with you. We're particularly grateful to open the festival this year with Marie Clement's Bones of Crows. This is an epic story of a Cree matriarch finding her way through the better part of the 20th century. Every once in a while, you see a film that you know is the right film at the right time. And I think this is a hard film, it's a challenging film, but it's also a film of celebration and a film of great importance. And we're so excited to be able to celebrate Marie, her crew, and everyone who contributed to this film. It is one of the largest Indigenous-led productions of all time, and we cannot think of a better way to open our festival on the eve of Orange Shirt Day than with this film. I'm going to now shift through my papers here. I did prepare notes. Our special presentations are the highly anticipated films screening in a marquee venue, the Center for the Performing Arts. This year's highlights include many of the Cannes standout titles, including Ruben Östlund's Triangle of Sadness, the Palme d'Or winner, Park Chan-wook's Decision to Leave, and we'll also host the Canadian premiere of Clara Denis' Stars at Noon. Sarah Polley returns to the director's chair with Women Talking, and we'll also have a couple of other highlights from the fall season with Darren Aronofsky's The Whale and Sam Mendes' Empire of Light. We're particularly excited to host the world premiere of The Grisly Truth, Kat Jamie's. That's right, we must pause for applause. Kat Jamie's second delving into the history of the Vancouver Grizzlies. On this occasion, it takes the form of a true crime documentary, true sports crime documentary, let's say. And why did the Grizzlies leave the city? Who was responsible for it? No stone is left unturned in this. No former Grizzly almost is left uninterviewed as well. It's a remarkable level of access and a really, really fantastic film. I think it also speaks to how sport informs community, informs the city's identity, and what happens when a team like that is removed. And we're really excited that after the screening, we're gonna have the chance to play a little basketball outside as well. We'll say weather permitting, but come on, weather, don't do us wrong on this one. Our new showcase series, with each screening or the film taking place at the Playhouse, offers exceptional films that will resonate strongly with our VIV audiences. Those include Klondike and Phyllis Nagy's Call Jane, both of which are films, many of which in the program feature women on the front lines of either social or literal wars being fought. We're also excited to have Clement Virgo's brother and Hubert Davis's Black Ice, both of which examine the Black experience here in Vancouver, right here in Canada. World premieres include Ryuichi Hiroki's Motherhood, and also Chelsea McMullen's Crystal Pite, Angel's Archive. Angel's Archive is a film that looks at the National Ballet's presentation of Crystal Pite's latest work. It was the last dance performance performed prior to the pandemic shutdown, and the first one back after reopening. And I think importantly in this time, it looks at how a piece of art can be transformed dramatically by events that have impacted the artist and the people performing it. Our Northern Lights section offers the next wave of Canadian and Indigenous storytellers. There are 14 films in the series, all by first or second time feature filmmakers. These include Sophie Jarvis's Until Branches Bend, which sees the apocalyptic brewing in the Okanagan. Anthony Shim's sophomore effort, Rice Boy Sleeps, weds the autobiographical and universal to devastating effect. We're also excited to have the world premiere of Jason Carman's Golden Delicious, which is a charming, complex, and culturally specific story of an Asian Canadian teenager discovering feelings for the boy next door in East Vancouver. On the documentary front, we'll host the North American premiere of Antiochs by Ryan Emercora and Jessica Johnson, which investigates the history of one of British Columbia's former company towns. And we're very, very pleased and honored to have the world premiere of Back Home by Nisha Platzer. This is an eloquent study of grief and healing as Nisha finally gets to know her older brother 20 years after his passing. The VIF Short Form is our look at the perspectives and aesthetic approaches that are elevating short form storytelling here in Canada. They combine narrative, documentary, and animation. And there are many of them, as you will see here. Yes, please everyone get your magnifying glass out. All this information will be on our website as of noon today as well. And you can scroll through it at your leisure. But I know that our programmer for this, Casey Way, has taken great pains to ensure that each program is sequenced to have a narrative flow of its own, to really offering you a 100-minute experience that takes you through various peaks and valleys narratively. In addition to the showcase and special presentations, our senior programmers, Ellen Franey and Pochuo Young, played a significant role in leading the programming of Panorama, which is a 39-film series which offers a remarkable array of films from every corner of the globe. 25 of these will be making their Canadian premiere in Vancouver, meaning that our audiences here in Vancouver will be the first in this country to see them. There's a number of titles here that have already met with acclaim at other festivals, including Nikatu Jusu's Nanny at Sundance, Ashley Mackenzie, Queens of the Qing Dynasty at Berlin, and Charlotte Wells' Aftersun at Cannes. We'll also host the Canadian premiere of the novelist film by Hong Sang-soo, which is the 21st film by Hong that will have screened at the Vancouver International Film Festival. Given the title of the series, I think it's fitting that it also features many films in which the landscapes factor heavily into the narratives, be that Bolivia's Utama, France's The Mountain, or A Piece of Sky, which hails from Switzerland. We're very excited to introduce Vanguard this year, which is a new competitive narrative section, which offers rising international talents or bringing singular visions to the big screen. 8 films in this series in which histories, culture, and communities where the films are all set play significant factors in shaping the narratives. We will have the world premiere of The Harvest Moon, which takes us to the hilly pastures of Mongolia. Night Siren sees a young woman facing down toxic patriarchal structures in Slovakia, I apologize. And it's arguably the same battle that's being waged in Tehran rehearsal space in the comedy drama The Locust. Our Altered State series is where The Strange Ones come out to play. This also features the highest quotient of comedies in the festival in any series. But be warned, some of these comedies do play pretty rough. For instance, Christopher Borgley's Sick of Myself is a serrated satire about how far an attention junkie can go to get an endorphin kick. Meanwhile, if adrenaline is more your speed, I highly recommend Lily Corcoran's Rodeo, which features some of those spectacular stunts in a film this year. Jeff Marslett's Quantum Cowboys employs 12 different animation styles to take us on a wild ride through the multiverse. And the films Lenore Will Never Die and Something in the Dirt both prove themselves to be celebrations of filmmaking. Our festival will feature 40 documentary features, Many of these will be found in the Insights section, where we have documentaries that change the way we see the world. There are stories of strife and healing here, be it Matthew Heinemann's Retrograde, which examines the American withdrawal of military forces from Afghanistan, or All That Breathes, which shares the story of two brothers nursing New Delhi's birds back to health. I also want to point out Chase Joynt's Framing Agnes and Haley Gray and Aled Sadek's Unarchived, which are both films that unearth hidden histories, lost histories, histories that have been suppressed for far too long, and bring them back to the light. Our Spectrum series is a collection of innovative nonfiction filmmaking. These are nonfiction works that transport us back to the 60s in Riotsville, USA, an archival expose of how police and military were trained to contain civil disorder, or to remote Sable Island in Geographies of Solitude, which literally incorporates the land and water of that space into the film stock. Or finally, De Humani Corporis Fabrica, which actually allows us to ride shotgun during various surgical procedures, reminding us just what a wonderland the human body is. Our Portrait series is a kaleidoscope of groundbreaking artists, great performances, and cultural icons. These are films that celebrate inspiration and creation. In some cases, they are works by renowned figures like Cesare Evora, or Hopper, An American Love Story, or Ever Deadly, which marks the directorial debut of Tanya Tagaq and also features her in the film as well. On other times or other occasions, it brings people to the center stage who have been underrepresented on stage and on screen for far too long in films like OK, the ASD band film, or Lay Down Your Heart, which is also directed by Marie Clements, and is a look at the endlessly creative process of Vancouver artist Niall McNeil. Missed my cue. There's the films there, if you want to snap photos. It's doing so well. Modes is programmed by T. Bannister. It's international short works that explore how far the form of cinema is capable of bending. There are 3 programs and modes this year that examine structural inequity and its impacts on the individual, and in turn, individual acts and their impacts on our structures, that look close at archival images and stories from the past, and collect animated works delving into worlds of wonder, subversion, and Marxist mystery. And programmed by Sandy Gao, a series that may be more deserved of the name Panorama. I know that there was well in excess of 1,000 submissions in this category this year, and I think what's been assembled here is really dispatches from every corner of the globe, telling us where people, where artists, where individuals are at this point in time, at a critical point in human experience.